As discreet as a wire will get, right? Pat Precourt here. I'd like to have a conversation with you today about the difference between achieving, and success or true fulfillment. And to me, there's three components to wealth. One of them being obviously the money you feel that you need to be comfortable in life, but the other two are more important. The other two are harder to come by, not easier, but harder than money. One of them is love in your life, and one of them is respect in your life. And these two go unnoticed during the constant pursuit of achievement. But the goal should always be to be loved by many and respected by most. You won't get everybody that you come to know in your life to respect you, and that's fine. But the way you live your life will either be respectable or it won't be. And love is something too that it's earned. We all strive for love, but it's something we have to give in order to receive. The year, pretty sure it was 99, 2000, and this is when my rugby career ended. I had played rugby for almost 14 years, 15 years at this point, and it was exactly where I gained my value from. In other words, I thought my achievement in rugby was my biggest value to who I was, and that all changed. High-level rugby, got an opportunity to play internationally over in Europe, up in Canada, across the United States here. Bad concussions. Rugby went away. I was told by a doctor that you've had too many concussions, and playing again, you may end up with permanent brain damage. I'm like, all right, I get that. But that's not an easy thing to just give up when your identity's been around that one thing for so long, right? This is the interesting part about life. Not everything is easy. When you're going through the hell, boy, you wish you could make it go away. But on hindsight, you realize the hell was put in your life for a reason. It was there to challenge you. And I'm convinced that big people aren't given small problems. Big people are given big problems, big challenges. When you start from a bad place, it can only bring you to a bad place. So this brings us to 2008 or so. From the outside, everything looks freaking awesome. We're making money hand over fist. I had a beautiful wife, 3 awesome kids. From the outside looking in, they're like, wow, they got it going on. Their office is busy. We're doing a lot of speaking events. We're doing a lot of our coaching. Everything looks great from the outside in, but not everything is always the way it seems, right? I come home one day, my wife is upset, tells me that things aren't going well between us, and that she's upset, and that she's lonely, bored. None of this is really making any sense to me. Something has to change because she can't continue this way any longer. That this isn't what she signed up for. Now, mind you, I've been pushing hard now for a good part of 7 or 8 years trying to achieve. Remember what I said achievement was? It lacked what? A focus on love and respect. And it's easy for us to justify letting go of certain things provided we're providing for, right? That catches up with you. And like I said, you can't get to a good place from a bad place. And what had happened is I got so focused on trying to fill this void that rugby had left behind, this desire to achieve in rugby, this person that I had attached so much to rugby, that was gone. And now I tried to fill it with work, and work can't fill. They can't scratch that itch. That's something totally different. But I let it just take my entire focus, everything I had, which meant there was nothing left for my wife or kids. And that only lasts so long. So basically, after a few conversations, I said, if things don't change, then me and the kids are gone. And at the time when she's expressing it to me, I'm realizing, yeah, she told me this many times over, but I just wasn't paying attention. I just wasn't listening, or I was denying it or ignoring it, or in my mind pretending she's making something up here. Timing would happen almost within, like, I don't remember the exact window of time, but my son, who I think 10, 11 years old at the time. Now, mind you, when I quit rugby, I quit everything physical. I went from playing, you know, being active in rugby 3, 4 times a week to doing nothing, zero. And my son came to me one time to the gym that just opened down the road. He said, "Dad, will you take me down there? I want to go check it out. I'm interested in working out." When I walked in this gym, the second I walked through that door, it hit me like a ton of bricks. What an absolute crappy role model I've been for my kids, for my wife, and for everybody around me who pays attention to me over the last, 8 years now. I've let myself get way out of shape. I think when I walked in that gym, I was 212 or 215 pounds. And that sounds like, "Well, can we join?" And I'm like, "You're damn right we're going to join, but not just you. I'm going to join too. The whole family's going to join." You know, when you go that long disrespecting anything, a relationship, whatever it may be, it doesn't get healed overnight. I can honestly say it was probably a 24-month path to get us back to where we had started. Now, in hindsight, I can tell you that although that experience was brutal to me, terrible, I would not undo it. My wife and I have more fun today, her name is Tracy, than we've ever had in our entire life. We've been married 22 years, and things couldn't be better. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty, really freaking awesome. And it required me go through this process. It required something happen to wake me up. This long, I've passed up on 8 years of being a role model, of being the dad that I was meant to be. And now it's going to change. And I was fat, I was out of shape, I wasn't proud of where I was, but I wasn't going to let it go any further. And it's starting to click to me that there's more than just achieving. As a matter of fact, there's a lot more to it. And this introduced me to martial arts. So the gym was a combination of martial arts fitness gym, and I joined going to this cardio kickboxing class, and I just start taking cardio kickboxing classes. It was kind of cool. I think I threw up the first couple times. Part of what happens when you work out too hard, too quick, and you're a guy and you just do as much as you can anyway. After class one day, after I'm getting into it and things look good, I look over here and I see some guys, they look like they got bathrobes on to me. Now mind you, I've never watched the UFC. I've never really followed MMA or martial arts or anything like that. And I look over there, they look like they got bathrobes on to me, but I go over there. I'm like, "So what do you guys do?" They're like, "Well, this is jiu-jitsu." I'm like, "That's cool." They're wearing a gi, it's not a bathrobe, right? And I'm like, "That's pretty awesome." And I'm watching them for a while, and it's really actually pretty intense, strategic skill. I'm like, I mean, what does it take to get involved with that? They said, "Pat, you just got to start showing up." So I started showing up. Gi, it was no gi. It was all a combination of different martial arts. And one day after class, some of the guys were talking about the fights from like Friday night. And I'm like, "What are you guys talking about, the fights?" They're like, "Yeah, we fought up. We had these amateur MMA fights, and he won and he lost, and it was great." And I'm like, "What do you mean, you guys actually fight?" Like, "Yeah, fight." Like, how do you get involved with that? And like, just start showing up. And it's kind of funny because in this gym, sure enough, there's a full-blown MMA cage sitting over in the corner. Never even occurred to me. Never even thought about it for a second. It's funny how some things are right in front of your face, right there, and you don't even see them, right? And such is life. Things come into your life exactly when you need them. It's just a matter of, whether or not you're willing to accept them. And I got involved with MMA, and I think I was, I forget exactly, but about a year and a half later, I stepped into the MMA cage for the first time. I think I was 40, 41 years old, which for some of you may seem old. I get it, but who cares? So this is the time where I started understanding the difference between achievement and fulfillment. But I'll be honest with you, in my actions, so I'll share another chapter of my life right now. In my actions, I wasn't living that message. Now, this next one's not easy either, and I'll share with you the idea that there are people in your life now and that have left your lives that sometimes the greatest message they can share with you can't be delivered until they exit our lives. So my dad, who was perfectly healthy, went from being perfectly healthy to being diagnosed with melanoma cancer, tumors throughout his entire body, incurable. Went through chemotherapy anyways, and well, we all know how much of that goes. And and he was a little older, so his body had a little harder time with his 77 years old, I believe. Wasn't doing too well in a hospital, didn't want to stay in a hospital, so I physically had to pick him up and carry him out against the will of the hospital itself. There weren't doctors there to release him, and they were threatening to do things to me. And I'm like, no, he's coming home now because he didn't want to pass in the hospital. We brought him home in hospice care at our house. This is where I grew up in little town of Higginham. And I'd stopped eating and stopped drinking, and here we are. And it was kind of a tough process because spending my time with him as a lot of our immediate family was. And he asked me, he pulled me in really close at one point. I could barely hear him speak because he was so weak from not eating and not drinking. Like, for the first time in my entire life, my dad showed fear to me, which was hard for me, right? But it was also kind of the passing of the baton. First time he had ever showed fear, he said, Pat, I don't even know if he said my name, but he just made me promise not to leave his side. Dad, I won't leave your side. When he passed. And so I promised I wouldn't leave his side. And a day passed, and a couple days passed, and the phone's ringing, and texts are going, and emails are coming, and you're the busy business guy, right? You're doing your thing, you're holding. Oh, and then something came up, and I made the decision to run out to do something. Maybe it was a closing. Here's the thing, I don't even remember what it was. But it was something that I made the decision to leave because at the time, somehow it seemed more important. Sure enough, the phone rings. Your dad passed while I'm on the way back to the house. So think about that for a second. Besides the fact that I had no idea now what was so damn important then, I breached my last promise to my dad while he was on his deathbed. That doesn't sit too well with anyone. Remember I told you a second ago, sometimes the greatest lessons that people in our lives have to pass on to you, they can't pass on until they leave our lives. Well, I'm pretty certain that that was all intentional. And somehow my dad knew that I was still not on the right track in life. And I needed an eye-opening experience. So that was one of those times in my life where I could really put a pin. Now I got a few pins, right? On an event that really changed the trajectory that I was on in life, There's not a whole lot of experience that you have that much of an impact. I had left my father when I promised him I wouldn't. And I think the message that he knew I needed to hear is that, Pat, you're still focused on achieving and not on true wealth. Expected, and you certainly are not deserving of the love of others. 2012 came around. 2012 is when we officially opened a fitness center, a place called The Cage, which is it's a lifestyle fitness center that has the heart and culture of our martial arts. It allowed me to grow my message at a greater level. You know, when you ask me today, Pat, what is your purpose? What is your why behind what you do? It's very simple. It's to inspire others to lead an inspired life. I went a long time of my life, well into my 30s, leading an uninspired life, directed by achievement only, not by fulfillment. I know what it's like to be on that side. And you know what? When you go after fulfillment first, achievement comes. But when you focus on achievement, fulfillment gets left behind. So that old saying, you can't have your cake and eat it too, is bull. You can. You just got to go about it the right way. You know, we got involved in a nationwide coaching program in 2006 or 7 and built that up to an amazing, amazing machine. And in 2013, I came to another impasse where it was taking me off my base. It was achieving, no doubt. And for a long time, I was fulfilling in there as well. I was living my purpose, my message, my cause. But it started to deviate a bit. And I had to make a big decision to walk away what was, at the time, a 8-figure company. But you know what? It was a decision I was able to make easily, without exception, without regret. Because no longer was I measuring my success by simple achievement. More, how many people am I positively affecting today? And how many more can we get to tomorrow? How many more can we inspire to live an inspired life? So in 2013, we walked away from that. Hung up, walked away. Now, many of you, if you understood the numbers, you'd find it, at least from one aspect, very difficult to do. Right? I know what it's like to make $1 million a year. I know what it's like to put $1 million of cash into your bank account and walk away from that without regret. But here's the secret part of this, that if you're able to do that, earning that kind of money again is not the challenge. It simply isn't. Living up to your own purpose in life, that's your challenge. The achievement will come, I promise you. And that brings us up to where we are today, where most everything we do, from The Cage, like I said, a lifestyle fitness center with the heart and culture of our martial arts, to all of our personal coaching programs and personal development programs, and all that we still teach in real estate, are all geared at the same thing. Allowing everyone to become bigger at who they already are. To conclude here, I'd like to share maybe 4 takeaways with you for till we meet again next time. The first, we've heard from day one you can be anything you want to be. I'm going to clarify that and say that you can be anything that you are meant to be. And you have a responsibility to step into those shoes. Number 2, you have a gift, a special gift that makes you unique, unlike anyone else, just like I do, like everyone else you know. It's your job to strive constantly to seek out exactly what that is. And when you focus your goals on achievement, it blocks that off from happening. The only way you can do that is to be genuine and authentic to who you are. The third, meaning you have to stop caring about what other people think or say. It's none of your responsibility and none of your business what people think of you. And the moment you can let go of that, liberate yourself from that, it allows you to open up and really start to explore all that you are meant to be. And finally, and this is probably the most important part, you got to remember, at all times, someone is watching. Someone's looking up to you. What you do, what you say, how you do it, how you run your life. You may not know who it is or who they are, but you're having an effect on somebody all the time. Make somebody better by being the person you're meant to be. You guys are awesome, man. I appreciate you spending some time watching this video.